So I guess I'll be the guy to bring it up first. The feast is almost over. This is day 7 now, yeah. Nope. Yeah. 7. Math. It's day 7 and it's almost over, and it felt like earlier this week I was like, oh, we got to get, and I kept thinking, I kept putting us further in the week, and I would stop and go, oh, no, wait, no, we got plenty of days. Hey, maybe this feast will actually feel like it lasts a little bit, and then, no, I blinked again, and it's over again. But that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a temporary dwelling. It's not supposed to be permanent. And that's what got me going on this tangent, so y'all bear with me again, because a tangent I went on. Because what I wanted to end up talking about was that relationship between permanence and I have to draw it from memory. Hold on. Between permanence and temporary, and if you'll bear with me just a moment, I'm going to draw something out. It'll be important later, I promise. Jeremiah, bring me my phone. I don't remember it. My phone's right there. Grab it. As my credibility fades before your eyes. That one. Let's do green for that one. Bear with me, I just have to draw some chemical equations real quick. Yeah. I'm actually putting a lot of work into this, which is really going to just be a minor illustration later on. But that's what it'll be. Another one. It's in the back. So, like I said, I was getting into a mental debate about permanence. And I'm skipping ahead in my drawing. About the permanence and temporary of what's down here on Earth. There we go. And so I wanted to bring that up. I'm gonna write it. Nope. That's the wrong marker to use on this board. Temporary. So what, and don't cheat and get ahead of me, but what on Earth specifically, that's ugly now. What is permanent on this Earth? Anyone? What would you consider permanent? What would you consider temporary? What you got? That's what on Earth. Physical. Don't skip to the good part. Lead? Lead? Yeah. But lead, yeah, no, it's an inert, so it won't, unless you force it, it won't go into chemical reactions, thusly. Stuff like that. But, kind of, just to move it along, what is temporary? What is permanent? The temple that was down here was meant to be temporary. God didn't want a concrete one down. A permanent structure would be a farce in that way, and that it was only permanent in the idea of it would be hard for us to move it. But nonetheless, the temple was still destroyed a few times over once it was made out of stone. So I kind of want to assert that that's where we're at. in Ecclesiastes, and we all know the song, so I'll just read the beginning of it. But Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. It's all temporary at the end of the day. None of it lasts. None of it does. In the ecosystem, everything must eventually end up dying, and yes, that material does go on to other things, but at the end of the day, the tree has died, the animal has died. We aren't even who we are on a cellular level, as about statistically every 7 years, your cells have gone through enough reproduction that the cells in your body right now are not the same cells that were in it 7 years ago. That everything in you right now is literally something that wasn't 7 years ago even. All of it's temporary. Which expands out to just to us, but that also means that, towns, temporary. Everything that we look at and that we consider every day, everything that we worry about, temporary. Whether you're worried about America and the government, or you're worried about the COVID, whether you're worried about the kids in Africa. I mean, it's all going to go away anyway, eventually. It has to at some point. All of it's entropy. You can even look at roads, and it's like, oh, everyone knows this road. It's been here for forever. No, a lot of the times those roads, you find there are old roads called, like, what was it, back in Virginia? We have Battlefield Boulevard. It was an actual battlefield where they had actually gotten a slave uprising against their masters down there. That's what it was named after. Except it's not Battlefield Boulevard. There's another one called Old Battlefield Boulevard. That was the actual Battlefield Boulevard. It's all subject to change. It's all subject to decay. None of it's permanent. Because if you know the right chemistry, it all goes away eventually. Yeah, that was on purpose. I want to read something real quick. No, I wrote it down. I don't have to use my phone. I'm going to read it real quick. The second law of thermodynamics states that the total entropy of an isolated system... All right. Where was that? Isolated systems? Yeah. The second law of thermodynamics states that the total entropy of an isolated system can never decrease over time and is constant if and only if all processes are reversible. Isolated systems spontaneously evolve towards thermodynamic equilibrium, the state with maximum entropy. What does that mean? It's all going to fall apart. That's what that means. It eventually gets to a point where all of it's inert. All of it will either just kind of sit there and balance out. Even the entire universe. At some point, they call it heat death of the universe, where all the energy basically runs out and nothing happens anymore. There's no life, it's just all just inert matter. None of it happens anymore. So what matters if all of it's temporary, if all of it, in the grand scheme of things, is going to fall apart? You go to Ecclesiastes. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 1. I'm going to spend a lot of time in Ecclesiastes. give everyone a minute to get there who's going to read along. But I'm going to go ahead and just start in 1:1 for a little bit. I'm going to get to the verse that makes the point. Pardon me. The words of the preacher, the son of David, the king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? One generation passes away, and another generation comes, but the earth abideth forever. Arguably based on the thermodynamics I just went over. The sun also rises, and the sun goes down, and hastens to his place where he rose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about, and into the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. All things are full of labor, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done, that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. As the wisest man we have available to us said, it's all vanity. Whatever we're trying to pull off here, whether the grand experiment that is America fades into antiquity at some point in the future, whether or not I manage to get a new job later on down the line, whether or not I manage to get my teeth brushed in the morning, none of it matters. In the idea that all of it's going to go away at some point. At some point, I will fade away, and whatever nonsense I've run around up here and said to you guys fades as well, because I'm no longer around to say said nonsense. Pardon me. I'm going to point this inward for a moment. I oftentimes have a hard time thinking that the stuff I get up here and say matters. Because I feel like anyone else could probably get up here and say it better sometimes. It's never the way I want it and such like that. I have this running thing with my mom where she encourages me despite myself on certain things. So, like I said, the idea that it's a little nihilistic. The idea that what I do doesn't matter because what echo will it make? Vanity of vanities, yeah? But that I suppose is what is important, is that we do it. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to entertain something else real quick. I'm also going to make that assertion real quick. What I wrote down right here is a chemical formula real quick. It's the combustion of hydrogen and some oxygen into methane gas and a little bit of water vapor. That doesn't mean a lot to you. But what it is a demonstration of another chemistry thing that I am apparently bringing up today. The law of conservation of mass. No matter what chemical, whatever happens up here, it's all going to stay the same. If you'll note the beginning of the equation, we've got 4 green circles, 4 red circles, and 1 big black one. On this side, 4 red circles, 1 big black one, 4 green circles. Did I do it right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The matter doesn't go away no matter what chemical is going on. Even if you burn a match and end up with the coal, all the stuff that it used to turn the wood into coal has escaped as fire, which is superheated electrons and gases that escape the process. The byproduct of turning the wood into coal. It's all permanent on a molecular level. You, not all of it, on a cellular level, you may not be the same person you were 7 years ago, But there's no guarantee that you're not at least 50% of the same molecules that got used in the same production of the new cells over and over and over again. The same molecules that got used to create the universe are the same ones that are still circulating around today on the molecular level. They, when they want to try to study a subatomic particle, they take the atom they want to look at, and it's called a hadron collider. It's basically just a real long tube, and they send one atom hurtling down the whole dang tube and smash it against the end of the wall. And they literally have less than fractions of seconds to try to observe what pops out, because it gets reabsorbed into something else. Even smashing one of those atoms against the wall won't destroy it, because all the quarks and other subatomic particles still get reabsorbed back into the rest of the matter in the world. Exactly as the flame gets reabsorbed. It's all just water vapor and oxygen superheated, so it looks pretty for a second, and then it disappears. And it's important that it all stays here, because it's what God put here. The only thing that stays here is what God put here, and he put the whole dang mechanism down here to make sure it all works for us. He was kind enough to make sure this stuff worked for us. You know, I think sometimes we when we talk about God running the universe, we have the misconception of like the wizard behind the curtain, where he's got to turn all the cranks to make everything work at the same time. Now, he was smart enough that he could just click the button and it goes on its own. He only messes with the stuff that he needs to mess with. That seems a lot easier for me, to me. In the same way, you know, people go, oh, evolution, because our hands look like fish hands and look like dog hands, and all of the hands, forelimbs, all end in the same general construction. Well, no, he designed a hand one time and said, you know what, this will work, we'll use it on everyone. That 5 digits, where 5 digits is applicable, that this structure worked enough for everyone. The neck bones. I was trying to remember what kind of vertebrate it is. It's lumbar, and then the others, and then I've already forgotten the other one too. Neck bones. You got 7 of them. How many neck bones do you think a giraffe has? Don't get to the good part. It's 7. They just get really big ones because the design worked. He didn't need to go over and over and over again. He put in a little less for guys who don't need it. Koalas apparently don't need as much brain power, but it's still the same brain that works in our brain. It just doesn't work as well. Apparently, if you take eucalyptus, the only thing a koala eats, off the plant and on a plate and slide it in front of it, it doesn't know what to do with it because it can't process the new information. It has to go to the plant to get it. There's no new thing under the sun. Exactly, there's physically no new thing under the sun. It's all been here since the beginning. And ever since he put it all here, it's all here on that molecular level. Where was I going next? Fair assessment. Let's go, let's just further illustrate the other thing. I'm going to jump to Proverbs. I'm going to leave Ecclesiastes now and break my promise. I'm going to jump to Proverbs. Proverbs 30. Through 6, if you want to write it down. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learned wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Who has ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who has gathered the wind in his fists? Who has bound the waters in a garment? And who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if you can say? Every word of God is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add you not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. I'm sorry, don't add unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. See, Michelle, the good part. All of it matters. Because he said so. Because he put it down here for us. Because he put us down here. Because he chose us to be over here in Statesville instead of out there right now. I could be hauling windows right now. I'd rather be here. Not that my job sounds all that much fun. But again, back to me again. Again, he put it down here for us to matter. Despite how much doubt I may have in whether or not I matter in the grand scheme of things, in the small scheme of things, I still matter because for some reason God has chosen it for me to stand up here and spit the word of God out to you guys unbidden, because I don't know if you guys notice, you guys haven't because you guys aren't here all the time. I don't have any notes. When I started speaking, I had to write down everything I was going to say, because I always said my right hand is a better speaker than I ever will, because I would write everything out. And right now I am still talking to you guys, and I haven't the last couple of times. I matter because God decided, hey, he doesn't need his notes today. All I have is the verses written down. I know that I matter because Wednesday I got anointed because I had a tooth infection or an ear infection. They both hurt. I don't know which one it was. But I got anointed. And by the end of the day I was already feeling better, and I didn't even take any pain meds this morning for it. It's gone. I wasn't getting rid of it, but he saw fit to it. We are not beneath his notice. If we want to weigh things by permanence and temporary as to whether it matters, all of it matters, and we all do, because he wanted all of us to be there. He thought in us to give us the free will to decide to want to matter, even if sometimes we don't want to matter. And we know he matters, with that we matter to him. Shortest verse in the Bible, Jesus wept when they told him that his buddy Lazarus was dead. He knew that he was going to go resurrect him in just a minute. He knew he was going to be fine. He knew probably that Lazarus is going to earn his way up in the second resurrection. We can assume that for this exercise right now. He knew. He was Jesus. He was God on earth. He knew. But he still mourned for the loss of a man he was about to bring back to full health, that he was going to bring back. He still cared enough about us to feel that emotion, to want to care that much. It's when you talk about God in that, again, in that wizard behind the curtain thing, it's easy to put that distance between you and him, because it's all there. But when he's down here crying with us because his buddy died, because our buddy died, that's what the Holy Spirit is, that comforter to come down and let us know, yeah, you do still matter. I'm here with you. That even though all these trappings that we put ourselves into is all temporary, that I'm going to be just as much dust as the next of us at the end of the day, that there's something else that matters beyond the dust of this earth, that we all are. That we're going to make it to something bigger and better and more important and more permanent than we can imagine. The stuff of earth competes with the allegiance only to the giver of all good things. Another Rich Mullins quote. Hope y'all were keeping score. But it doesn't matter how useless, how insignificant our efforts seem. No matter what, in the stuff that we've been talking about doing our best, about achieving our gifts, what matters is that we do it because he mattered enough to do what his calling was for us when he was down here. He was called to do something for us. And no matter how small our role may seem in the grander scheme, whether or not we would be listed as one of the heroes if they wrote one of these Bible books about us, whether or not we'd be a blurb in someone's genealogy, or the mysterious Enoch getting mentioned but still getting his own story, somewhere in that middle ground. All those cogs still have to turn. We all have a role to play. Even Samson, as strong as he was not meant to free his own people. It says, you are meant to start the process of getting everyone freed out of captivity. You're only here to start the process. It wasn't for him to reap that benefit that he had sown in his time. And he was the strongest man around. He was, with all his power, with all his strength, he still wasn't the hero of that ark. He still was only the guy that got the ball rolling. John the Baptist, for all his piety, for all his ascetic devotion, got the ball rolling and didn't get to see it end. We're doing stuff today, and maybe I'll say something, and maybe someone on the internet will hear something, and it'll cause something great later on, and I'm not going to get to see it. And that's cool. Because the guy who did need it to happen is going to see it, and the guy who put me here to do it saw that it happened. So it doesn't matter how quickly we may fade out. So long as we remember that the light will keep burning, because he will keep it burning in all of us, until we all go back to an ever-bright temple where we'll all just be burning, light shining by nature of existing. That's all I got.